Okay, so hello, and welcome back once again. So today we are going to be yet building another ETL pipeline. So today we are going to be building an ETL pipeline. So essentially the components, of course, the components that sum up to become the entire ETL pipeline. So in the last video, I think I'd already done quite a bit of it, but today I just want to be comprehensive when it comes to building the entire ETL pipeline. So for today, that's what we are going to be focusing on as a task for today. So of course, we'll be building the entire pipeline component, starting with I'll start with the previous table, I think, which was a products table, dimension products table. So starting from that afresh, cleaning up some few things here and there as we proceed while building the entire setup. Okay, so I will download the Kaggle dataset. Then I'll create a small database folder within the workflow. Then once we are done with that, I'll save that data. Then once we are done with that, I will split that data into the said tables. I think 4 tables, each containing a separate type of information plus a joining key, primary key. Then once that is done, we can now upload that data to an S3 bucket. So I'll show you how to create an S3 bucket. And from the previous video, we were using Backblaze as our S3 bucket. So for today, again, I'll just try to be a little bit concrete with that. That means I will show you how to create that S3 bucket and how you can also store that data within the said bucket. Then once that is done, then we can upload the data to the S3 bucket, then create those environment variables that we are going to be using within our project. So that's what I will be doing with that. Then we can also create a BigQuery. So with Google GCP, you can create a BigQuery. You can also do that setup, create a database. So I think the database is like a folder that will contain the tables in a layman's language. So we'll create a dataset. Yeah, I think it's a dataset tables. Then we'll also, that's where after the ETL pipeline, that's where we'll dump all our feature tables. That's where we'll dump all that. So BigQuery will now become our offline store that will house all that type of data. Then we'll create permissions because it's a cloud. Also need to have access to get access to those clouds. Then all those will be under permissions that we need to be having within our environment variables. So I think today it will be quite intensive, but I do believe that at the end of this we'll have covered quite much. But again, it's for learning purposes and actually how understanding how these ML systems are actually built. So that will be what we will be covering today. So and also a note that I will also try to make improvements on the environment. I'll show you something that I've discovered. I've been using, but I think it's also important that you also understand when it comes to managing dependencies using the various. I'll be using the UV to manage all the dependencies, because even in this project I encountered some problems, especially working with FIST DVC. FIST for feature importance. DVC will be important when we are building our pipelines. So there was quite a challenge because of the dependencies, the versioning of the dependencies and all that. So it was quite a challenge that is forthcoming. So let that challenge arrive or set in when we are already prepared, and then we can counter that problem instead of that becoming a stumbling block in how we are going to be working within this project. Then once everything is done, then in a BigQuery, we'll be able to see all our tables. And then we can also run Dagster so that once we have the tables, then we can orchestrate the entire process using Dagster to run the entire pipeline. Okay, so it's quite something that we'll be covering for this session. Okay, so I've kind of tried to list them so that we don't jump anyhow and there, but we kind of stick to a simple script so that we're able to track our progress within the entire build. So I think with that said, we can actually get started. So I'll launch my. So today I will be using VS Code as my IDE. So I've been having problems with PyCharm because of the memory it consumes and all that. But if I'm working, I tend to prefer using PyCharm. I think that one is my go-to IDE. Then after, if everything is set, then I can, for tutorial purposes like this, then I think VS Code is, I'll say, is the king when it comes to search. It tends to work when I'm doing the tutorials, but anyway, that is just by the way. Let's get started with the project itself. So as I had said earlier, there's a problem with the dependencies. So I tried to update them. So these are the dependencies that we'll be working with. So because we are using UV for this, So because you're using UV for this entire project, then so what you can do will be, you can launch the terminal. You can launch the terminal. Just do a. So we can launch the terminal. Just do here. Then the first thing that we need to do is to do the pip install of UV. So you have to do pip install UV. If you created the environment using Conda, I think it will work. So it will still work. You won't need, or it won't cost you an arm and a leg. It will still work. So you just do the pip install UV. I've already done it, so it will be quite faster. Once you do the pip install UV, yeah, you can see in my case the requirements are already installed, so it will just, yeah, it will be fast. Then once you do your pip UV, then you can do the UV lock. So you can also run this. So this one, yeah, so the pip UV lock, so it will go through whatever, you can see the dependencies. Then it will create some sort of a version of the dependencies that you're using within your model. Then it will sort of lock those dependencies so that you won't have problems when it comes to dependencies updating without information. Then it causes a clash within other dependencies. So I think it will work. It will work. Okay. So you can see now I'm done very fast. Then it will create this UV lock. It will create this UV lock file. So this one with the name of the dependency plus the version you are using and all that. Okay. So once you have this in mind, install, then you can run the UV sync activate. So this one will UV synchronize with your environment. Okay, so this one will synchronize with the environment so that all dependencies are in sync. So that means it will try to look within the versions of the dependencies and try to find within those dependencies their matches, and then it will synchronize with your version so that whenever you install those dependencies, we're not going to have version clashes. Again, version clashes is a problem because if you're going to deploy these models and you have the problem with the versions, then creating the Docker image and all that, again, it becomes a challenge for that. So you have to ensure that your dependencies are within the versions, that each of them can work within themselves. So that is key. I encountered this problem, and so having this set up now, we won't be having that challenge when they arise. We'll have solved that preemptively. So yeah, so once that is done, we can move on to the notebooks. So So under the notebooks, I just want to okay, what I can do, I can just delete this, move to recycle bin. I'll just delete that, then I'll copy the new one. So just copy that, then I'll paste it here. So I'll just copy the file itself, because again, I don't want to write this code line by line. It's going to take a lot of time, and so you can take time to review that. Okay. So we have to first download that file. So with me, I'm downloading that file. I'm downloading the file itself. So this is the source of the data. So let me see if I can share. This. So let me share this. So this is the source of the data. So let me share this, but you can also have a look into the source. So if you have any questions, any concerns, you can just maybe get to the comment section, then we can see how we can help. Okay, so hello, I think there's some problem. Okay, let me see. Is there a sound issue? There's someone saying the sound is a problem. Let me see, or I'm not being heard. Maybe my sound is too low, but I think I'm audible enough. Okay, so I will let me see, but I think I'm audible enough. But anyway, so let me see. I think I'm clear enough. So let me see. So let me share the data source. So so that's the data source. So I've shared the data source, so you can also have. So this is the data source. You can just download the data source, download the data. Then once you download that data, so I've already done it. I've downloaded that data. Then I've saved it within a folder. So this is the folder. This is the folder itself. This is the data source, and I've saved that data within this folder data. So I think, yeah, so this is the perishable goods management data that we have is a CSV file. So once you've located the folder itself, you can copy the path, and that path is the one that I am using within this. So this is my this is the path itself where that data is located. So perishable goods management. I think I have a problem with the pandas. We can install. Let me install pandas. So pip install pandas. I think pip install pandas. I think there's a problem with the pandas environment. I think it's pandas. Yeah, so I think, yeah, the pandas environment is okay. So what I can do, I can just I can launch this. Then I think this one will be okay now. Okay, so this is the path. Then once I have the path, then you can see how I'm splitting those tables. So table 1, that is the product and supplier master table. It contains information about the product plus the suppliers, or any information about those two. Then I'm also having extract the columns. Then we have the table 2, which is about store location. So location store ID plus the region. So where are these stores located? And then extract column number 3. Column number 3, table number 3 is the IoT and sensor logistics and logistics telemetry. So this is information concerning, let's say, you're transporting perishable goods. What's the temperature? What's the type of handling of those products? What's the quality grade and so on? So distribution hours and so on. So that's the information that will be housed within this table. And then table number 4 will be about sales, inventory, waste, ERP data, point of sale data, and so on. So that will be the information that will be housed under this table. So I think that's what will be under this table. So you can see again record ID, product ID, days until expiry. Is it promoted? Markdown was markdown or a discount applied to the said product? Was spoiled and so on. So all this data, all this will be housed under this table. Then we can verification output can print the statement. Then optionally, but it's good. So I've created this. I need to have a folder called DB. So I'll create a new. No, it should be under. I'll create a new folder called DB, and under the DB, I'll create a new folder called raw. So it will store this as you want. And as you can see, I'm using Packet files. So again, Packet files are our go-to guy when it comes to handling or building ML pipelines, because they are able to process massive amounts of data and so on. They are quite fast than pandas. Pandas, even though we like using it in data analysis and so on, it has its, I'll say, problems when it comes to handling massive amounts of data. So for that case, Packet is our go-to guy. But for this splitting, I just used pandas for the entire process. Okay, so now that we have our tables, we have seen how we are splitting our tables and organizing that data. So originally that data is just a single table. As you can see, it's just a single table. But to try and mimic a real environment, production environment, we have to split that into different tables. And within those tables, that's where we can actually do the merging when you're building our ETL pipeline. So I think once that is done, we can. Once that is done, I think connecting the kernel. So while the kernel is connecting, do I have any other queries? I've shared the dataset on the chat, so you can actually jump in and can actually you can use it to yep. So I think we are back. I think we have selected our kernel, so the only thing will be to run that cell. So actually we are running the cell, so you can see we have executed the cell, and then the split was successful. Then now, where are we storing our files? Let me see. Split was successful. So this one, no, there's a problem here. It's supposed to be retail omnichannel. We have to remove the MLOps. That's why we are not getting. That's why we are not getting those files in the required. Use data wrangler for this. So data wrangler can be used for this. Be used for this. So data wrangler. It's a cool. You're actually able to visualize CSVs, Packet files, and so on. So the flexibility with respect to the different files that you can use. That's why I prefer using data wrangler. Product ID and so on. So product ID and so on. So yeah. So I think this one is okay. So you can see the tables and so on, everything. So this is our table. Zoom out. So this is the table. You can see the product ID, the product name, the category, the supplier ID, and so on. So all these are the tables that we are working with. Yeah, so that one is done and dusted. So we have saved our data and so on. So once we have saved our data, then we have to set up Backblaze. So I'll try to do it afresh. So I'll use my other. I'll just use another email. So Backblaze S3. So I'll try to use this one to create a new, show you how we can create a new S3 storage with the Backblaze. Okay, so once you Backblaze S3, then you can just do the setups, start, then okay, so we can start a free trial. You can start a free trial. Then you have to obviously sign in. Okay, so this is a new account. So I'm just showing how you can create a Backblaze account. So you have to first sign in. Yeah, so if you're watching us from anywhere, get to the comment section, try to tell us where you are watching from, and if you have any questions, try to get me via the comment section. I'll try to get back at you. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so I don't know, it's going to consume most of our time, then we have to look for other ways to solve this problem. Yeah, so I'm just creating, you can create either, but I'm using an individual account. So I'll insert my email. So I'll create my email. So okay, that's my email. Then you have to create a password. So I'll just create a password. Just create mine. Okay, then I'll create that. Sorry, the password did not match. Okay. I have to. No, not sign. I have to because no. I think this is my. I'm supposed to sign up, not to sign in, because I'm supposed to sign in, not sign up, because I forgot I was working on a new account. So I'm supposed to create a new one. So that is signing up. Not signing, get that. So I'm supposed to sign up. Yeah, so this is the place. Yeah, you can just try for free. Then I think you have to insert your email. Yeah, once you insert your email, you'll get you'll get a verification email. So you have to go to your email. Then within your email, you will get your verification. So you'll get this, you'll get a verification email. So this is a verification email. So you have to click the verify. So once you verify, you'll now have access. You'll now create your email plus the password itself. Yeah, so I think that's what will now come. That's what will be next. Okay, so that's the email. So I have to create my password. Okay, so that's, yeah, so you just create your email, then you can enter the password. Up, then create your image. So I'll use East, yes, East, EU Central, EU. So I'll use EU Central, closer to my region. Then I've agreed to the terms and services. Then once that is done, create then we can just create the account. So once you create the account, you'll have it. You'll now be having an S3. Just save that individual account. But you can also create organization, doesn't matter. Then we'll have our Backblaze account. Then I'll have to do the verification. So they've sent a verification code. So I have to verify that. So this is sent to your email. Then you can just enter the code. So let me do the other code. Then that will be a two-step verification. Yeah, it's just easy peasy as that. Then you'll have your S3. You will be having your S3. You'll be having your S3 bucket or a S3 storage in place. Okay. Okay. So once that is in place, then we can create. You can create a bucket. You can create a bucket. So we can create a bucket. So I'll just create. Yeah, you have to create a bucket. MLOps. MLOps retail, then just add. Okay, so this one will be private. Then disable object. Okay, so I'll create a bucket. So create a bucket for that. So I'll create two. No, just create one for this. So this is the bucket that we have created. So this is the bucket and some of the details. Then how do you get access to this? How do you get access to this bucket? So you'll have to create get started. It might be late. So you create a bucket, then you'll have also to create your application keys. So again, you'll have to create your application keys. Okay, so you create a new application key. So enter the key name. Let's say, but I'll change this after this session. So try to look for different ones. So retail, retail MLOps, then read and write. These are optional, so I don't give Yeah. Okay. So read and write. Yep. Do I have anything to the key name? That's okay. Or let's say, but you can use any. It doesn't matter. Then file name if you want. A duration. How long should a key be active? So I'll create. I think this one is okay. I'll just create a key. Then once you have your key, you need to copy this information. You have to copy this info. Then this is the info that you will require when it comes to your when it comes to your uh, when it comes to your when it comes to your environment variables. Okay, so the key ID. So this will be your key ID. So this will be your key ID, and then application key will be your application key. That's it. Then the key name, you can use it. Okay, so that's the key ID, the application key. Yeah. But I'll show, we will have to change this, but I'll show you how or where. So once you have this in place, then yeah, I think we will be good to go. Yeah, so we have that in place. So that is about setting up your Backblaze. So once we have our Backblaze in place, so that will be our object storage where we'll be getting that data. Then from that data, we'll be running an ETL pipeline, and the ETL pipeline will be responsible for doing the feature transformation, getting new features, and so on. And then we'll be dumping that data to a BigQuery. Okay. So let's now start on now building the entire ETL pipeline. So we have storage. So from the storage itself, one last thing that we can do here, because this one is already in place. One last thing, I think, copy to clipboard. Yeah, we've already done that. So one last thing we can do, we can go back to our buckets, and inside the buckets, I will create. No, I will. Yeah, I'll browse the file. So inside the buckets, I will create a folder so that at least we're able to segregate the different files and folders within our project, so that at least we look organized. Eh? So within the while this is setting up, let's look at how we can create. Because this, I will change this. So while we are creating this, let's start looking at the ETL, the entire ETL process. So the ETL process, I try to arrange this into. I try to organize this information so that let me so you can do a sketch and create a sketch. Okay, so let me as we are going to start on our ETL process. Just to have an erase layers. We have don't want this. Then for the just do away with this. Yes. So when it comes to the ETL process, so I've tried to organize this in such a way that it's able to flow in a way that it's organized. So we have a flow so that we're able to see how we are organizing that. So this is how I'm running that step. So we'll have to create the configuration files. We'll have to create the config. So the config files. So these are the paths. We'll specify the paths, the sources, and everything. So we'll create config files that will handle that information. Then once we create our config file, we create our entity. So this will be our entity. So the entity will be converting the config files into some sort of an object. So that's our entity. I'll give my writing. So entity. So that will be our entity that we are going to create. So once we create our entity, then we can create the config manager. So the config manager, this will be task. The task of this will be creating the different the config manager. So this one will be creating the necessary files, ensuring the paths that we have set are actually working okay. Then once we have the config manager, we'll have our component. This is the component. So the component will be doing the actual ETL process. Okay, so that will be the component. So it will do the entire. Once you have created the paths and everything, so it will be reading from entity and the config manager. Config manager ensures the houses are built okay. Then the entity will point to the config where we have stored all our configurations. Okay, where are we getting our data? Once we process that data, where are we storing that data? What format do we need from that data? What other metadata we are getting from that data? All that we have specified under the config. Entity convert that into an object. Config manager, it's a peripheral worker, ensures documents and everything are already in place. Then once the component runs, then we can wrap all these within to create. Now this one becomes our pipeline. So this one becomes our pipeline. This one becomes our pipeline. So this entire pipeline. So we wrap this into a pipeline. So that means that once we execute this pipeline, we are going to run the entire a component within the ETL process. So remember, we have 4 tables. Within those 4 tables, we have to create a pipeline for each. Otherwise, if we amalgamate that into a single pipeline, we're going to have problems downstream. It will be a massive code, hard to manage. And so when you're building these pipelines, those are some of the things that we also need to look into so that we make our pipelines maintainable and so on. So once we have our pipeline, so I'll just do away with this. So once we have our pipeline, so we have different pipelines. So let me use this. Let's say we have 5 pipelines. Once we have our 5 pipelines, so pipeline number 1, pipeline 2, pipeline 3, pipeline 4, and pipeline number 5. So because you're having these 5 pipelines, we need to find a way to orchestrate these pipelines so that we're not running each pipeline independently. And we'll be orchestrating all these pipelines now using the tool called Dagster. Dagster. Today we won't be touching much about Dagster. Dag supposed to be a G. Dagster. This will be Dagster. So Dagster will come in to orchestrate this So it will be sitting on top of these pipelines to orchestrate the entire pipelines. Okay. And once we orchestrate the Dagster will now enable us to load this data to our offline storage BigQuery. So BigQuery will now come in. So BigQuery will now come in to house all these data. So that's actually what we are going to do. So let's start building the pipelines one by one. So I will start with the first one. The first one, let's see, I'll start config. So that's the first one, dimension products. So this is, okay. So we have row source local path, database row dimension. Yeah, this is the source that we're getting our data. So as you can see, we have DB, then we have the row, then we have dim products the package file. Then what is our S3 point to the Backblaze bucket. So our S3 bucket is this. So S3, so that one I can just show you from where we are getting that. So bucket, so this is that's the then I'll just create a new folder here. I can just use the same retail omnichannel, my 3 MLOps storage. Then this is the the file. That is the folder. So I'll create the folder retail omnichannel. Then I will add that folder. So within this folder, that's where everything will be housed. So MLOps retail omnichannel. I'll just copy this. Then I'll paste it here. So this is the MLOps storage retail omnichannel. So that's it. Then the data, we'll just upload that data. So dim products.package. So essentially what I'm just saying is here we are able to now upload that data. So you can just locate the file. So I'll go to my documents, data. No. I'll go back. So go to my documents, MLOps. This is the folder you are working in, database, row. So these are the package files that we are having. So I'll just copy this, and then I'll just drop those within. I'll drop those within the buckets. Yeah, so those are the files within the bucket. So dim products.package. So that one. So that's the point to your Backblaze B2 bucket. Okay, then endpoint. So what's the endpoint? So for the endpoint, I'll show you the endpoint where we are getting the endpoint. I think we are getting the endpoint from the bucket itself. Yeah, this is the S3 endpoint. So just copy that. Then you can add it. So this is your, how is it? S3 U Central. So this is the endpoint. Then generalize for so this one will be for the target table. So I will show you how to create this target table when you're working with the BigQuery. So I think that one will be later. So let's at the moment, what I've done with the code itself, I've primed it so that we can work with it locally, and we can also work with it. Let's say if we have deployed this within a given server, so that irrespective of the environment, you still can execute this. And this will be the SQL query that will be used to for the BigQuery source. Then this is the local target path. So that means then this will be the required source files. Then for feast, we'll need the default anchor date, because for feast, again, it will be problematic if you don't have, or you've not set up all this. It will be a problem for you. Then we need to provide the event timestamp. So those are some of the things. So those are the things that we need to look into. Then for the baseline stats, we have to create this. So ETL dimension products, production baseline stats. Okay. So once you are that one is done, then you can move to your not constant. You can move to your entity. So entity, that's the config entity, and the config entity, you just paste whatever we have. So this is your config entity. So let me see. Yeah. So this is your config entity plus the schema types and all that. Okay. So essentially, what you're doing, I'm copying this. I'm copying all this, and then this becomes your entity. Then I think we will under shared. I think I have the shared file here. Under shared, we'll have this file. So it's our generalized configuration manager. So instead of I think this one is the file itself. So instead of manager, instead of creating a config manager for each and every process, which will be kind of repeating ourselves, we can just create this config manager. Then this config manager will be responsible for managing the paths and the variables and all that. So again, just link that to platform configuration manager. And then this is like a shared file to be used within data project. So we'll be creating configuration files or configuration manager for the entire project, for the entire for all the processes, for all ETL processes. Okay, so that's the config manager. Once we're done with the config manager, then now we have to create the constants. So for the constants, these are the different paths. So let me see. Constants has the underscore init file. So it will be constants. Then the constants. Just copy all so that you can resolve the translate. So these are the constants ensuring the path. So I'm having the directory. So we have the config ETL dimension. So for the sensor, for the cells, and so on. So this will work. So we need to be coming here back and forth. So once this one is done, then we can look into the components. So dimension components, Then so this is the I'll say this is the actual component that does the math work. Okay. So this is the component. So this is the component that does the term math work. How are you preparing? How are you preparing your data and so on? So I think I shared with you. I shared with you how I'm preparing my data. Let me see if I can get it back. Documents. So I think I shared with you how I'm doing that, and how I was coming up with those features. So this is the initial, let's say, I'll call it the initial process when it comes to feature. Yeah, not really feature engineering, not really feature engineering, but this is the initial process that I was working with, so that at least I was able to document my I was able to document my all the features that I'm using in the project. How to go around to this feature? What's the description? What it represents? What's the formula? And so on. So that it doesn't matter who's working within this project. Any person working within this project can actually see what you are doing, and by doing that, you are able load the object explain our predictions and so on. That is something for the data that I'll show you when that time comes. Okay. So we have our documentation, so you can go through the documentation if you don't need to, if the code is slightly rigorous. Okay. So but here we are creating our component, and the component is responsible for doing the process. So I've listed all the features that we're creating and how we're creating and so on. And then when it comes to features, one thing that I'm using is when it comes to features, one thing that I'm doing is that I'm trying my best to use I'm using not trying my best, I'm not trying my best, I'm using polars. So as you can see, we have polars, and we're not working with pandas at this section. So I think with polars it becomes easier for me to actually work with this. So polars, polars for the ETL process. You can also even just do a simple Google search. So the search will why polars are not polars in ETL. So you can do a quick search, and then you can see why the difference. So execution runs immediately. You can see this logic run fast, then you execute. So polars optimizes the queries before pulling the data. Then this is one of the most important things. Polars utilizes the 100% of the CPU cores. Polars allows zero copy sharing. Okay, so this I think this one, yeah, RAM provider. I think this is the most important that actually made this to the switch, because when polars, the advantage when you work with polars is that the lazy loading fast. So that's one of the reasons as to why. And the next thing is about the loading and so on. So I think the polars. I'm forgetting what else. So I think pandas loads the data in memory, then starts the execution, but polars has that lazy thing. This one is the loading fast. So it goes through the data, tries to understand what do I need and what don't I need. So once it builds that logic, so in most cases you won't be loading that data, entire data, and then consuming the memory, then the process stops, or your laptop crashes. So polars is able to circumvent that problem, and that's why I'm using it for this process. So again, once you engineering the features, so these are the different, for example, potential unit profit. So that's the best price and that's the cost price. So that's the unit profit that I'm calculating. What's the markup ratio? So markup ratio, this is like the discount. So what I'm doing is that I'm filling if I have any number values, I'm filling this. And if I have any number values, then I'm dividing the best price versus the cost price. So that's the markup ratio. So I get the markup ratio as my type, my column title. Then the cost exposure ratio. So the wholesale as a fraction of the retail. So what's the exposure ratio? So that's the cost price divided by the base price. Then I'm filling in with this 0. Then the cost exposure ratio. So that's the new column title that will be. Then the engineer risk features. Again, the same thing. I'm creating the daily storage risk index, and that is a column related from storage sensitivity and the shelf life days. So doing that division. So you can see how we are calculating all these features, and then you can see from a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 9 from 9 features. You're able to see the different features we're able to come up with. As you can see, it's quite massive features. 14, 15, 16, 17, So we have 19 features from 19 columns. Okay, so this is just a simple way, not a simple way. This is just a way. Okay, given these 9 features, what other features can I come up with? So that's the question that I tend to ask myself when it comes to this. As you can see, I've not yet done the ETL pipeline. No, I have done that ETL pipeline, but I'm trying when you are the EDA, or you can do the slide EDA, understand how the data is, then you apply that idea or that logic when it comes to the features. So my idea was to, based on these columns that we have, so this is the columns that I'm having. So based on these 9 or 10 columns, or given these features, how can you come up with even more features that can be used by the machine learning model? Okay, so start from the point of abundance. Other than starting this, then once you are deep into your training pipeline, then you remember, oh, there's this feature. So what I usually do, given this, how can you expand on that? And if I can expand on that, then it means that I can train my model, then I can just drop those features that don't add any value to the model during the modeling phase. That's why I usually tend to begin with this. Okay, so our pipeline is this. Then we have this the run ETL. This one is the one that our pipeline will be hooked to that to execute the entire pipeline. So let's see how the pipelines are working. So under the ETL, I have the pipelines. I have the stage 1 pipeline. So this is the stage 1 pipeline. Just ensure that pipeline is up to date. So pipeline is 1. So this is the pipeline. Then there's something here. I don't have the GCP client. So share GCP client. That means otherwise shared. First being like that. Copy the shared and add that GCP client. So we have the GCP client. Yeah, so I think we don't have this. Okay, let's do another install dots. I'm using some dependencies, but let me see. So, yeah, I think I have all my dependencies. Or you can just install those dependencies again, so that at least you don't have these errors. But I think I have always do I have pandas? Let me see. I did install pandas. I'm working, let me see. Maybe I'm working on a wrong one. And I think that could be the problem. That could be the issue. I'm working inside working bin, working, yeah, we are working in a wrong virtual environment. That could be the reason as to why I'm having this problem. So let me see. So So we have to repeat install yeah. Yeah, I think that was the issue. I was working in an environment that was not required of the yeah. So I think yeah, I think yeah. So I think everything is now okay. So we can just continue. Okay. So our environment is okay. So we can just so this is the pipeline. So I think this one should be resolved as of now. And yeah, I think everything is okay. So we can now run the pipeline. Be the relative path. Yeah, so Python, and I can just be saying error number 2, no file or directory. ETL pipelines. So we have stage 1 dimension products. Copy the relative path. ETL pipelines. Oh, there's is it Windows or am I? This could be the reason. Let me see. So I think when you're working with a bash, Git, you're working with Git, Git bash. Yeah, I think this one is now resolved. So this will run the first ETL pipeline. Are the issues? Okay, yeah, that's it. So I think we have our pipeline running. So I have Python ETL pipeline. So this is the pipeline running. So once we create this, you see we have our artifacts folder. Under artifacts folder, we have the ETL, then dimension products folder. Then under dimension folder, we have our dimension products features and also the products baseline stats. Those are stats that we got from this. And then these are the stats that will be used during the inference, during the inferencing. Okay. So I think once that is done, what next? What next do I have? So our first pipeline is okay. So we can just replicate the same when it comes to the other pipelines. Okay, so I can just delete make my work neat. Let's replicate the same to the other pipelines. So I'm going to go to the dimension stores. And with the dimension stores, so I can maybe copy this. So we are working under the same. No. If I copy that, I'm going to have issues. Let me dimension stores. Let me go to the sensor first. Sensor telemetry. So sensor telemetry, then I can just paste this here. So data sensor telemetry.parquet. So this is sensor telemetry.parquet. Then for the raw source URI, so raw source URI is the dimension. So the rows is the products. So I'll just copy this. Paste it here. Okay. So S3 MLOps retail 570 sensor telemetry. Then for the endpoint, so this is the endpoint. So the endpoint seems to be just the same. Then products query big table. So this one I will show you how to create this. I'll show you how to create this when you are doing the BigQuery. Then for the sensor telemetry, local target path, so ETL sensor telemetry, so ETL folder, sensor telemetry folder, sensor telemetry features parquet. Then this is the SQL query. You'll have this raw sensor telemetry. Then these are the required columns for that. Then this is the primary key event timestamp. Then the local configuration if you want working locally. Okay. So once that is done, then you can go to the next one. So the next is entity, and I think with entity already sorted that. So this one is already in place. I don't need to change that. So that's the entity. Then once that is done, you can check the constants. So I'm not going to check the constants. That one is okay. Once you've done with the constants, you now go to the components. So under the components, I'll do the sensor telemetry. So that's the sensor telemetry. So I'll just paste it here. And then once that is done, then we go to the pipelines. So I'll just paste that one here. I don't think I will be changing anything here. So it will be just as it is. So sensor telemetry. So sensor telemetry. Again, this one is the same as we did previously. Nothing different. Sensor telemetry ETL. Load stats, validate new schema, process the data, then engineer those features. So for example, temperature deviation times distribution hours, that's the degree hour exposure. Temperature abuse events divided by distribution hours, so this is the temperature abuse frequency. What is the frequency of the temperature abuse? And here we are looking at the degree of hour exposure. So in the temperature deviation times the distribution hours, so that's the our exposure of those perishable goods. Okay, so I think you're understanding how I'm building that. Then for the logistic features, this is how I'm doing that. The combined physical risk score times the packaging score. So this is the logistics vulnerability index. So the handling score of the product plus the packaging score, that one gives us the logistics vulnerability index. And as I said earlier, this is the table. This is the supplier reliability. These are the sensor telemetry features. So degree of our exposure, temperature abuse, and so on. So I say that this is the documentation for that. And with this, you're able to see how I was building those features or coming up with those features. And I've been able to show you how I'm coming up with those features. I'm documenting my entire journey, entire process, meaning that even if someone else is working on this data, they're actually able to understand where you're coming from, where you're going, and so on, so that it becomes easy peasy for them. And also, even if you're building the feature store, it becomes easier because you're able to tell the user, okay, this is this particular feature, this is what it actually measures and so on. So this is just the same. Then once you're done with this, then we can go to the pipeline. So you create your pipeline. So this is the sensor telemetry pipeline. So you can see you're getting the configuration manager, and then you're also passing in the sensor telemetry config file path. So this one, where are you getting the config file path and so on. So this one is okay. Then the entity, then we are doing the component itself. So once this one is done, do I have something? That is okay if I'm not wrong. So, should I do that? No. Anyway, so for the pipeline, what we are doing, we are building our pipeline to handle the two events. Either is it inference or is it a training, so that we are priming the pipeline for that. So whether it's training, it can do the training and create those baseline. If it's inference, it has to do what? If it's inference, it has to just to now load the baselines to calculate whatever metrics that you are calculating. So that's the advantage of our pipeline and how we are priming our pipeline for that specific purpose. Okay. So yeah, just checking if everything is running okay. So I think everything is okay. Okay, so I think that one is running okay. So priming our pipeline, then we are the if else statement, and also when you are running a pipeline, these are some of the things that we are trying to include. So if inference, that's inference, that means we load our baseline metrics during inference. Then you can run this locally, run completely offline or local on your laptop. Then for the run in production cloud. Yeah, so this one is prod is for production. Essentially, if you're working with a BigQuery. Okay, so I don't think there's anything need. So I just run this pipeline again. So Python ETL, then I do the pipelines. Then you can do, I think, stage 2 sensor telemetry. Yeah, I think that one is okay. Then you can just let's see if this one will run okay. Sensor telemetry. Actually, that one is also okay. So we have our artifacts, ETL, we have sensor telemetry, sensor paquet, and the telemetry file itself. So that one is okay. So we are done with that. I can just sensor telemetry. Okay, so that is sensor telemetry. So the third one. So the third one is a sales inventory. So sales inventory. You can again can, okay. So with the cells, what do we have here? So there are just some few things that we can change. So row DB, is that okay? So row cells, okay. Then for this one, we can change that. So I'm using this. This should be, if this one is wrong, when you are running Dagster, that it will cause that massive problem. But I think that one is okay. Then I think this one remains the same if I'm not wrong. S3 EU Central 003 Backblaze B2.com. I don't need to change that. Then this one, when we are running BigQuery tables, that's where we will do that. At the moment, we're just doing it locally, so no problem. But so sales inventory, sales inventory. So these are the tables. Then I think this one is okay. So once we are done with that, we go to the entity. So sales entity, we have copy the path. Oh, so sales invent. I'll just add the other ones. So the other one is dimension stores, and also the last one under components, that will be spoilage spine. So this is the entity table. I'll show you how we are creating that. So dimension products, we have the products, we have the stores, we have the inventory, sensor telemetry, and the spine. Then for the constants, I'm not touching that. That one is okay. Then for the entity, I think everything is in my entity. I don't need to look into that. Then for the pipelines, so I can add the three ones. So the three pipelines are that to the cells. Then dimension 4, that is on. Don't worry, I'll show you all this. Then for the spoilage, just add that here. For the spoilage, so I'll just add that here. And then I think we will be okay. Yep. So entity, I think that one is okay. So we have all those files created. Then once that is running, so the third one is sales inventory. Just copy the path, just execute that one. So copy, it's supposed to be Python. Okay, just use the relative path, or we can search file directory. Let's see, we have Python. We have Python. No, that is, yeah, stage 3. I think is the, let me use relative path. Yes, that's, we are missing something. Cell 3, can't file pipelines, stage 3, pipelines, stage 3, inventory.py. No file, no such file or directory. No, but we have our sales inventory. No, it should be sales inventory. Nope. Are we missing? The data is there, sales inventory data is there. Polars, pipeline, stage 2, stage 3. What am I missing? What am I missing? So let's say copy what? Python. Sales 3 inventory, add file, no file or direct. About the others. Let me try. Are we getting? This one, it will run. Let's go step by step. So DB row sales inventory. Okay. Then MLOps retail sales inventory. Okay. And this is the S3 endpoint. So we weren't touching on this and also this. Once we did this, we went to the config entity, sales inventory. Okay, once we done the config entity, we went to the constants, sales inventory, ETL, config ETL sales inventory, YAML file. Then once we were done with that, we went to the component sales inventory. So this is the component. Then once we're done with the sales inventory, we went to the pipeline. So let's go to the pipeline. So stage 3. Then so relative path, Python. What file are we missing? Can't open files. See. Oh, I think the problem is I forgot supposed to be using forward slashes. This is the problem with using. Yeah, now it's working. The problem is on the slashes. So I think there's a different way Git. Is it Git? I'm using Bash and Linux and Windows, how they interpret paths. That's why we're having these problems. Anyway, we are learning on the job. Okay, so I think sales inventory, we are done with the sales inventory. So the next one is about dimension stores. So dimension stores only had two tables. So dimension stores. So this is the dimension stores. Dimension stores. Again, this one remains the same. I'm only changing row URI. So this row URI. So I'm just going to paste this one here. So using 4507, 4507, this one remains the same. I will show you how to create this. Now, dimension stores. This is for dimension stores. I think this one should be, yeah, this one is MLOps Retail. Now we have to paste it here. MLOps Retail. Dimension products. This one remains the same. This one I'll show you how to create when you are doing the, okay. Then I think constants is okay, entity is okay. So let's look at the components, dimension stores. So these are the components. Okay, then the last thing is the pipeline, dimension store pipeline. Again, I think this one is okay. I'm not going to change anything. So copy the relative path. So again, remember paths. The paths are the reason as to why you are having that challenge. So I'll just change this to, but I do believe there's a process on how you can make this absolute so that you won't have, okay, but look into that so that, yeah. Now, once we are done with this, then we need to create the spine table. So the spine, there's one cool feature I learned using this cool thing, your features from the tables. So it sits on top of your database, either the BigQuery or if it's let's say something like Redis. Okay. So what it does is that you basically you are telling Feast, this is my recipe. Okay. So I have these columns. Okay. So I have these columns within my recipe. If you are using an analogy, so I have these columns. So I want you to do, because you're sitting on top of this database, I want you to do this. I want you to look within this database. So of course you will have provided your entity keys. Entity keys. So these keys will be the ones, will be some sort of equivalent to your primary. Let's say primary. It can be primary in one table, or it can be secondary key. Secondary can be either primary or the secondary key within those tables. So you're telling Feast, go look for these features. So this is my recipe, and you are passing this recipe to your Feast, and telling Feast, go look for these features, and I'm providing you an entity table. So that's what you're going to create. Within the entity table, you'll have your, let's say, you'll have your target. So it will just be a small table. It won't be a long table. It'll just be a small table. Let's say you have your let's say the primary key, maybe. You can have your primary key or even a secondary key, primary key, it doesn't matter. Then you'll have your we created that timestamp. So you'll be having a timestamp, and then you'll have your target variable here. So this will be the primary key, the secondary key, then the timestamp. Then you'll have your target variable. Let's say if it's 0 and 1, 0, 1, let's say 0, 0, 1, okay, blah, 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 going all the way. So this will be your entity table that you will be providing Feast. So you'll be providing it with this, and then based on this, Feast is able to look within the entire tables that you have in your database, and then it will fill all this information, and you'll able to retrieve a single table containing your target variables plus all the required features. Okay, but we're not into feast yet. Let's now have a step back and build this feature table. So how do we build the entity table? So it can be just several names. Some people can call it a spine, others can call it a feature table. So I'll create again its configuration file. So with this one, it does not exist at the moment. So we have to find a way to get this. So at the moment, it does not exist. So how do we create it? So the raw source file path, so I'll provide the file path for all. So ETL sales inventory, where I think this one will be the major table. Then the target tables. So this is the retail. This one is for the BigQuery. Again, this one I will show you, I think, tomorrow. Then the local target path. So this is the local target path. Then these are the tables that will have that will require will provide to this entity table. So you can see we have the record ID, product ID, and the store ID. So those are some of the key primary keys within those tables. Then the primary metadata, a primary key we are going to use here is the record ID, because this table also has to have a primary key. Event timestamp, then the ETL metadata, everything. Then this is the JSON baseline stats. So once we have this in place, I'm not going to config entity is still the same. This is the spine. Constants, I'm not going to touch anything on constants. This is the spine, we're just providing that. Then this is the not the pipe, let's components. This is the component. So the component tells us how we are going to create that spine table. Feast will populate. We're now creating the spine, and the spine is the entry point of a feast. So feast will take the spine, then try to populate it with the columns you need. So this one, this is the load stats, validate raw schema, then calculate the benchmarks if we need. Then we can log all those steps. So then from that, then I can create the pipeline. So this is the pipeline. And once you have your pipeline, again, it's just a matter of, okay, so then we can run this. So when this one is running, you can see we are getting our output. So when this one is running, you can see that we have this is the raw data. Then under the artifacts, so this. So under the artifacts, so these are our artifacts for the ETL artifacts. Then we can create a new folder. Let's say new folder, no problem. So we have our artifact. Okay, that's no problem. Anyway, so we have our artifacts. Then we have all the tables. So the dimension table, you can see we have that. We have the stores dimension table. Then we have the sensor telemetry. We have the sensor telemetry, sales inventory, and now the spoilage. So let's look at the spoilage. Spoilage. We use data wrangler. So we have the spoilage, spine table, or the entity table. So let's look at how this is actually looking, so that you can grasp the idea. So I think it's something that I've been looking into, and I came across Easter. Then I was marveled by how we can actually integrate Feast in our workflows. So it's something nice that here now I will be showing you how to integrate that. So essentially, as I said, we're just creating an entity table, and this table, as you can see, it has the record ID, product ID, store ID, the event timestamp, because Feast will use this as a margin, and then we have our target features. So we have our target features, is it excess waste, and also we have our target waste rate. For this model, I'm creating a chain model, but I'll show you when we get there. So you can see this is just a small table. It's not something big. Small table containing all of that data. So Feast, at the moment, this table will now be the entry when you are crisscrossing through our entire database to fill that data. Okay, so first we'll use this as your entity, then it will populate with the columns that you'll set. I will show you that when we get there. So I think we have been able to execute the pipeline itself, and now one thing that I can now say is that we're able to execute the pipeline, and also one thing that we have now set it up locally. So we'll look into so that we're able to now set up BigQuery and execute this using Dagster. So I think we've covered quite an in-depth analysis of this, and so yeah, so we've done quite a massive. So what I can do, I will share this code so that you can also practice. Then also we have not now for the Backblaze, we'll finish that off when you're setting up BigQuery. So we'll finish that off when you're setting with the BigQuery, because right now we're just running locally. Next will be how it gets data from S3 storage, do the feature engineering, and then dumps that data to your BigQuery. So we have covered a lot. I don't want to continue. I'm also feeling tired for talking for about is it 2 hours? Almost 2 hours, 1 hour 30 minutes. So I don't want to, because sometimes when you speak for quite some time, you tend to lose your chain of thought very often. Okay? So that's when the tiredness creeps in. But what I will do, I just the data set. I'll just post all this information here so that you can. So I'll also share with you this one. Copy. We'll share, but I will keep it so that no one edits. So I'll keep it. Anyone who has the link, just copy the link. I'll just the link. Then let's say this one is a feature. The description. Then for the data sets, I'll just paste that link also so that at least you can have the data. I won't be committing that data to. Won't be committing to Git. Data scientists don't do that. Okay, so this is the retail. Let's say resources. So in case of, is there anything that I'm missing? I don't think so. Any resource that is needed. You have the data. You have the code. Yeah. I think I'll just commit this. So, yeah. Then I can just do git see. Okay, so git add. So that we shouldn't be committing what is loc client.py tomil py no, should be committing the DB. Shouldn't be committing the DB. Let me git ignore. So these are some of the things that we shouldn't be committing. So anything under DB, anything under logs, is it logs? Yeah. you are generating logs, so we shouldn't be committing the logs. Anything under artifacts, we shouldn't be committing. A config, you can commit that one, no problem. DB, no. ETL, you get me that. Logs, no. Notebooks, yes. Shared, yes. So I think those are the things that you shouldn't be committing. So just do a git restore, git reset. Okay, then we do readme resources, so the data set, then the feature description. That one's okay. So let me do git add again. Git status. Let me see. Shouldn't be committing things that git ignore is okay. YAML.py files. So that's the git commit. So let's say git commit. Let's say the ETL pipeline. Once that is done, do the git push. So git push in main. So I think you will get this information. Let me see. Now, okay, so we have pushed that to git. So I think you will get that. You'll get that. It be retail in the channel. Yeah, I should be getting so this is the data set and the feature descriptions. So I think with this one you're able to run, as I said, just clone, change the file path because we are working on different session platforms. Then you can you can run this. So tomorrow, I think, or in the next video, we are going to look at how to set up now. If you're working on a server, how can we now link the Backblaze to BigQuery? Just a small session. I think we can do it tomorrow. Just close that chapter. Then on Monday, we can start on Dagster, how we can implement Dagster within the ETL pipeline. Okay. So again, thank you. Thank you for finding time to watch this session. I'm very grateful for your support. So you can, again, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to the channel. You can, if you have anything you need clarified, you can just get to the comment section. I'll try my best to get back at you. So once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. I know there's a problem where there was an issue with the sound, I'll look into that. Then yeah, that's it. Yeah. So till next time, see you.